Yeah, okay. So we got Felix Norman, who just came off his last show. We got Big Mo. We got also Little Joe. That's funny, actually. Big Mo and Little Joe. And Felix, you had a really good rookie season. We were just talking about that a little bit. So running over your year, are you done now, by the way?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, for
You're
sure.
done now. Okay, okay. So you're getting better and better. Why did you decide to shut it down now at this point?
So I mean, honestly, because if I go too much longer, it means that I have to extend the off season that much further into 2025.
Yeah.
In my opinion, just for the size I need to put on, the progress I need to make. So it's kind of more of a thing of like mentally and physically, I think I could have kept going into Legion. That's not what, 6 weeks,
Yeah.
but I just, I need to, I'm not going to get the qualification at Legion this year. That I know the changes I need to make. I already hit 3 shows, and I'd like to get moving in the off season now so I can hopefully get some shows in the middle of the season next year instead of having to, wait till the end to get as much out of the off season as possible. So,
Yeah.
and I think, finishing in Texas the way I did, like I don't, I couldn't ask for a better finish. So it's like going out on a high note into the off season with that momentum and motivation. It all felt right.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. Yeah, so we got the off-season gang now. That's
Yeah, fuck
good.
yeah.
Yeah.
Finally. Everybody's been on prep, I feel like everybody except for you guys, basically, Joe and Morgan, like you guys have just been off-season this whole year. So
Yeah, I'm trying to get big again.
yeah. It's big
Yeah.
again, man. You're already
Right.
huge.
What are you talking
What do you
about?
where do you need to add more size?
Right. Where can you?
Yeah,
Uh,
seriously.
I'm like 298 right now. So
Big.
Jeez.
Yeah.
come
And
What
lean.
muscle group are you actively trying to improve, Joe? Like, is there something in particular that you're working on right now?
honestly, the biggest thing that I'm trying to do is like even being bigger, like I'm just trying to like get my midsection stay as tight as it can.
Yeah.
That's the biggest problem that I have like coming on stage is like midsection. So that's my main focus is just like core control, training my core every day. And like even when I'm heavier, just making sure it's under control.
Mhm. Yeah, not even like necessarily like adding more weight to the scale, but just making it more and more quality where you're actually
Yeah.
holding more muscle tissue and less body fat and water, right? Just
Yeah.
better body compositions. Yeah, I think that's smart, man, because like what are you gonna do? Just keep pushing over 300 and then from there, where do you go, right? Just it's more
Yeah.
risk at that point, right? Because I mean, you're not over 6 foot, so you don't need to be,
No, I'm like
right?
5'10", so like being around 300 pounds, anytime I went past that once and it was like 310 and I just felt like trash. So I'm like 295, 300 pounds. As long as my composition is decent, I feel okay.
Yeah, yeah. What's up, Justin? What are you at? Like 350
So
now?
no, no, I came down a little bit, kind of like a little bit like Joe was saying, because like and me and Mo's talked about this, but like, um, I'm not pushing the weight anymore. I'm
Yeah.
trying to actually like come down a little bit just because my waist is I don't have the smallest waist, and I don't want to blow it out. So yeah, I did get to throw like 345, 347 at one point, but like bro, like my waist was like it was taking a toll. So now I'm like hovering around like 335, like in that range. But I'll probably get up to like maybe 340 max, but I don't think I'll be much heavier than that before I start a prep.
Yeah, yeah. That's crazy.
Yeah. I'm in the same position. Like, I pushed it up to like 338. Like, it has been my highest this off season, but like I see no point for me to like push the scale up
Yeah,
anymore because
yeah.
I'm saying like it's like I don't feel like my waist is like out of control or anything, but I've definitely pushed it as far as like I want to push it. And then
Yeah.
you're to the point where it's like, what's the point of making anything else bigger if my waist is getting bigger too?
Yeah,
It's
yeah, because it's not even
Yeah.
about body fat. Like you guys saw me, and when I came down. I think it was after the Olympia. I came down to pure, and I trained with Dorian and everything. I wasn't fat, I was lean, but it's just like the waist is just, it's distended. So like now, obviously the condition's a lot better because I'm not pushing the food, so I'm eating like maybe like 1,000 calories less than I was before. But yeah, like I checked like my pictures and everything. I'm kind of like in the same condition I was like 8 weeks out, 10 weeks out last year. So It's gonna be like an easier prep also. And like I told you guys, like I don't know what's gonna happen like in the next month because I'm moving to Pure. So it's if I decide to do a prep, it's a better situation if I'm like in a short, I can kind of like turn around and start a prep than if I'm like, okay, I have 20 weeks to do, or something like that, so I'll see how it goes. But like if I'm in a good position and I just don't know when I'm moving, that's the thing. Like I'm kind of like in a like a limbo right now. So anyways, I'll see how things go. I'm not gonna start a prep until I'm in Toronto though.
Yeah, you got to be at Pure to start prep, like settled in.
Yeah,
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 yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
It'll be a good prep though, man. Like you're gonna be locked in because once you move, it's gonna be a fresh start. You start a prep, you fucking just locked in
Yeah.
from day one. You get
Yeah,
settled in, new environment, like more positive, just better like suited for your goals.
yeah,
So
yeah,
it's,
yeah,
it's gonna be sick. Yeah. We get some training in for sure.
yeah. It's gonna be cool, man.
It's a game
Yeah.
changer moving
Yeah.
to Burlington, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Man. So
Robin, how's your reverse going, dude?
yeah, it's good. I mean, I'm feeling pretty good. Like I just got back into the gym basically a couple days ago. Like I was telling Felix before, like I just took a week off, just ate whatever I wanted. Didn't worry about it, didn't train, didn't do cardio besides just like walking around, but just like hanging out at the cottage and just like fucking, because like I was saying to Felix, like I couldn't do that shit last year. I couldn't eat the food out, even like just for fun. I couldn't eat any junk food. I would just be like having a horrible time. So this week I basically just ate until my stomach was like kind of getting to the point where it was gonna be like too much, and I'm just like, all right, that's enough. Like just shut it off. So that was good. Just like enjoy for a week. Um, Unfortunately, it fucking rained for like 2 days, so then we came home. But whatever, we got a couple days in the sun and like whatever. So, like we get lots of sun here anyway. So like it's been good, and I'm just like enjoying training again, getting back into the gym and just like trying some new stuff because it's been so long just being on prep. And then mostly just by the end, you're sticking to pretty much all the same things, like same exact movements, same exact like patterning. So I'm like, okay, let me try, doing some new exercise and just like different things in the gym. So it's been fun for sure.
What's
Yeah.
like the game plan now for you, man? Like, are you trying to like catch a rebound, push the weight up to get a head start in the off season, or are you guys planning on like keeping it leaner?
Definitely keeping it leaner. I'm gonna probably train more with Hassan on legs because I gotta get those legs. And it's fun chasing him because he does all the weight for all the reps. So I'm just like, all right, I just gotta try to match that. And
Yeah, I've
it's
never
good.
really paid attention to how Hassan trains. Like, how would you
Me
describe?
neither. I was about to ask.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
no, it's really interesting. Like it's probably uh it's like the most unique training style. Like I feel like, I mean, not unique, but in the sense of like you don't really see guys train like that anymore. It's almost like I guess like the way Paul Dillette is described, where it's like just super slow. Like, but the thing is Paul Dillette was said to be like using like light weights, whereas Hassan uses like crazy heavy weights. But he doesn't like really get psyched up for anything. He doesn't really like change his emotion whatsoever. He's just like always the same throughout like even like after he's done the like the set, he'll do like 8 plates on a hack squat and just be like
yeah,
nothing.
that's
Like
what he does
literally
all the
just
Just
time.
chilling.
yeah, he just like wait for you to say something. I'm like, do you want to do another set? Are we going on to the next thing? He's like, whatever you want, man. It's
Wow.
like whatever you want. I'm like, I can't do another set. Like, what the fuck?
Yeah, that might be
So
more intimidating than people like yelling and grunting and screaming and shit. Is just having someone stone cold face hitting those weights
No.
like that.
well, it's good
Yeah,
because the thing is Hassan doesn't speak really good English.
Oh, okay.
So like he speaks some, but it's like we can't really have like a continual conversation. So it's
Yeah,
pretty basic. So there's literally nothing to talk about. It's just like gym words,
man.
So
How how perfect of a metaphor is that for this thing we all share? You guys can't even really share a conversation, but you can
right.
be good training partners.
I
yeah.
know it's perfect. Like you never thought about that before, but if you just couldn't talk the whole time, you'd just be like using sign language. Like how many you
Right.
just be like plates? Like put 3, 4. We'd all know
Yeah.
what that meant too.
Right. The
Yeah.
Right?
numbers are all the same.
That's it. Exactly. So no, it's great. But yeah, like like with Mo training with Antoine and stuff, like, having a good training partner has been actually really, really good, like key in my opinion. And I've gotten the chance to train with some like really like hard training guys recently, so it's been awesome. That's kind of like what I love about the sport the most is like when you train with someone who can push you, as opposed
Yeah.
to always having to
You
push
can't
you.
slack. You can't slack when you have a training
Exactly.
partner. And like, especially if you're training with a guy who's also an open pro, who you're also going to be like competing against. Like, of course, like we're all friends and support each other, but like in the back of our heads, you still know like that you could be going up against that guy next year. So
Yeah.
why would you train like a pussy when you're training with that guy?
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
Way
That
easier
makes
to
it fun.
slack by yourself. Like if you're just going to the gym and you're kind of having like a day where you're, you know, you and your girlfriend are fighting or some bullshit's going on and you're just like distracted or, you know, you just don't put in that same effort. Like I find for me anyway, since I've moved to Burlington and trained with Antoine, like that's been a big like mindset switch. Like there's no like easy workouts, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah. Yeah. Because I feel like most of us have trained like pretty much like by ourselves for the most part of our careers. I don't know about you, Felix, but do you train alone right now, or do you have a training partner?
I have a few that I rotate between, but I'm probably training. Probably half my training is alone. So
Yeah.
yeah. I can relate to that. But man, you guys up in Canada, that shit's exploding right now. You guys got so many good up and comers and pros and shit. Like it's cool to see. I think I might actually hit the Canada shows next year. That's kind of what my first thought was after this season.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, you know, the only thing that I'm thinking about is like between the Toronto and the Vancouver, it's like a full 5 weeks where there's pretty much nothing unless you travel.
Yeah.
So that could be like one thing where you travel somewhere and then come back and then do Vancouver. Like that's what I could do potentially, or like, you know, anyone could do that. But if you want to just do Canadian shows, like that's the only issue is that there's a 5 week gap between the two main
Yeah, I
Canadian.
didn't realize it was that much. I thought for some
Yeah.
reason I thought it was only 3 weeks. Damn.
Yeah.
It
three
would be
weeks would be
nice if it
nice.
was like 2 weeks, like if Toronto moved their
Yeah.
date up. Like
It
2 weeks
would,
would be
yeah.
perfect. Yeah. Yeah.
that
Yeah.
would, because then you could string together so many shows. Like so many guys would do that circuit. There's like 4 or 5 shows consecutively.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
And if they just
But at
meet
the same,
every,
yeah.
yeah, if they just
But at
meet
the same
every
time,
show
like
2 weeks.
yeah, the shows aren't that close either. Like I'm talking about like from Vancouver to Toronto. Like yeah, it's in Canada, but like it's already just a big travel to do both. You know,
Yeah,
like
exactly.
it's like you're.
Opposite ends.
I think if you want to do a couple of shows, I think you should string the ones in the States before Toronto, and then go and do Toronto after that. Because before is what, the New York,
Yeah,
Yeah,
the
and New York,
Philly.
Cali, right?
Cali,
And,
yeah, yeah,
and
okay.
Detroit.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
Detroit, yeah,
Well,
Detroit too, yeah, you know.
well, I thought Fuad just put out that Detroit is going to be like the end of March. I thought they moved it up almost a month.
Oh yeah,
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 it
I
is.
might be
Right
wrong,
after
but I
the
thought I
Arnold.
saw that.
and it was at
Yeah.
the beginning of March, but no, it was
It was
Beginning
like
of
the end of
April.
April before.
It was
I thought.
April. Yeah.
Yeah, it was in
yeah,
April.
it
So
might
I
do
don't know
that
if they're
then.
trying to make it closer to the Arnold or what. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I might do that then.
Those are good
Good
shows
option for you
too.
guys.
Those are good
Yeah,
shows too, you know. And you get a
Yeah.
head start on the competition that way. That's the other thing too, right? Because
because it's
most
one of the
most
first shows
guys,
of the season.
yeah, because most guys they want more time, so they're gonna wait till later in the year. And then more
Yeah,
more guys stack in later in the year because they're ready by then, but they're not ready early. So it's like it's strategy too. Like it's actually tough to plan a season because when you start thinking about that stuff, rather than just like what's close to me.
Man, I got a feeling that show might be stacked this year for Wad
it's
Show
gonna
because
start. Yep,
it's so close to the Arnold.
Oh yeah,
Like
yep.
all those guys are still going to need to get qualifications, or most of them.
Yeah.
yeah.
Plus, he has better prizes for that show than a lot of the other shows, so it's more appealing.
Yeah, more
Exactly.
Just
money.
the whole setup is really appealing.
Yeah,
Yeah. Same thing with the
Yeah.
Dubai show. Just the
I
The
was
only
prize
just
reason,
gonna say,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah, the
yeah.
prize money alone, right? Was it?
What
But
show?
Dubai's moving, no?
Oh,
Dubai's
Dubai.
moving the date.
I don't know. They have two, but only one of them is a pro show.
No, but I think they're moving the Dubai show to after the Olympia.
Oh, I think I heard that too.
Yeah.
Oh,
So
for
like if they do
2025?
that, it's gonna be all the guys from the Olympia that
Oh,
are
that and
making
then
it
it'll
from
be like
Dubai.
Yeah.
the Sharu Classic or whatever from before. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's gonna
Yeah.
be stacked, but it's gonna be like
Yeah,
yeah,
it's gonna
like
be
you said,
stacked.
it's gonna be like number like fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, like you know what I mean? Like all those guys will be there. It'll be crazy.
100%. Yeah.
Yeah.
Is if you're getting like let's say the prize money for the Olympia doesn't move and it's 400,000, you go from 4,000 and then the Dubai is, let's say, 2-3 weeks later, and we're getting. I think now they're upping the prize money too. Like it's gonna be at least 250. Let's say for the winner of the Open.
Yeah,
Like that's a good fucking payday if you're a top guy, you know.
for sure. Yeah. I wonder if like if you guys are Mr. Olympia, would you take that $400,000 check and then do 250 if it was
100%.
Why
100%.
not?
Yeah.
It's like
Yeah.
if it's a week later, why not?
Why not? Yeah.
Yeah.
And you get to go to
Yeah.
Dubai.
Yeah.
Right.
So I'm pretty sure even Mr. Olympia used to do the Sharu Classic to get some prize money, and I'm pretty sure. Maybe I'm wrong about that.
No,
Yeah,
Phil Heath did it. Phil
Phil
Heath
Heath-
definitely
Yeah,
did it.
Phil Heath definitely did.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
remember Phil Heath definitely
Yeah.
doing it. Yeah, and they were always like not quite in the same shape. They were like a little bit less conditioned, but just blame that on the travel.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but
pretty much.
if you have a
Yeah.
chance of winning another 250 extra, you're gonna be in shape. Like
Yeah,
Yeah.
you're gonna make sure that like everything's dialed in, you know.
Yeah, I could even out of the top three at the Olympia, especially someone like Samson, I could see Samson winning the Olympia and going right on to something like that because he
Course.
loves to compete.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, he does it anyway.
Well, he was
he does
doing
it for
all the smaller
$10,000.
shows. Yeah.
Yeah,
He'll
right,
do
right.
it for 10. Yeah.
He did it for
He'll
10
do it
grand.
for
He's gonna do
15.
it for 250.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Speaking of, you guys think Andrew passes Samson if he comes in like Texas or a little better?
good question.
I think he
He
could.
he could for sure.
Depends what
Yeah.
Samson looks like.
Yeah.
Sure,
Yeah,
sure. But I think
Like,
that like
now-
Andrew had those like harder glutes and hamstrings at Texas, which Samson never brings.
Yeah.
And Andrew brought up his back. I think those improvements could help him jump over Samson for sure.
I think
Yeah.
Samson does if Samson does not improve from
Yeah.
say the right.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think Samson just needs to be a bit sharper to beat him.
Yeah.
'Cause he's bigger.
I mean,
but, like,
between
Andrew's
yeah.
I think Samson's
Yeah.
still bigger, but
Right.
it's just a conditioning thing. Is he going to come in
Yeah.
like the last shows? Even if he comes in, because I think he was a little bit sharper in like the UK show, but it's not like the shape of Andrew is nutty. It's crazy. Like it
Yeah.
makes no sense. You know, it's way like they both have good shape, but like Andrew's just on another level. Like it's just
Yeah.
insane. You know, and if Andrew comes in tighter, that's another like caveat because I think he was maybe a little bit less conditioned. I think it was his best look ever, but I think he was a little bit less conditioned because you saw a little bit less detail in the abs and everything. But his ab structure and everything is such a focal point. Like if he comes in like really dialed in, he's gonna be really hard to like. He's gonna be a contention even maybe not this year, but in the next like 2-3 years, he's right there to win. You know, like he there's no one that looks like him. Like
yeah. There's no one even close to his structure. That's the
no,
thing, right?
no,
Even with
no.
Samson, like Samson's is big, and even if he's heavier, but even in like a front double bicep, like it without those like granite abs, because Samson does a
Yeah.
vacuum, it's not quite the same. So if you wanted to pick one over the other, you'd probably pick the abs like 99.9% of the time, just because it's more aesthetic overall, right? So like relatively
Yeah,
the same size, but then also Andrew, I'm pretty sure Andrew's like quite a bit wider too. So like that's gonna make a big difference. Even
And
though
on the lat
his
spread.
arms are longer and stuff like that, but then he's also like really filling those out. Whereas with
Yeah.
Samson, he's like a little bit almost more compact, like in like certain body parts. So he's got like huge chest and stuff like that. Whereas I think like just the one thing with Andrews, he's got to do something about the side poses. I think we were talking about that like in the group chat.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
those
Yeah.
poses are just not good poses. But they could be, because even when he does his like the quarter turn one, like with the tricep, like the half tricep, the illegal side try, like that's an amazing pose because he's hitting his abs and like he doesn't have to like sit on his glutes and hams. But as soon as he sits on those or the hams, but the hams and the glutes, they don't hang, and he doesn't have like really that like I guess ability to like do that turn properly. So as soon as he fixes that, he starts winning more poses, then he's in contention.
Yeah. I like that's what we were talking about in the group. I don't know if it's because he's lacking muscle in the hamstring or it's just because he poses really like terribly, you know, because he's very upright when he does the side chest and the side tricep, you know. So maybe if he sits down a little bit more on the hamstring and glutes, maybe it would pop a little bit more. I don't think it's a strong body part for him the hamstring. I still think he needs to bring him up, but I do think that just changing the posing, because he looks so. If me and Mo does it like this, our hamstring is going to be like half the size. You know, it's
Yeah.
really going to change. When you're a tall guy, you need to sit a little bit lower to get that like kind of pop into that hamstring and like close it in onto your leg. You know.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah,
Even
want
like
to shorten it a little too, you know.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
yeah, I used to have that issue before when I would do my side poses, my like hamstring, I'd have no drop at all. And I'd be from the back, they'd be like dug out and like crazy looking. So I'm like, how am I good from the back and so crap from the side? And then I realized this because I'm always trying to like squeeze my glutes instead of just sitting on them and
Yeah,
not squeeze my glutes, I would always try to squeeze them. So then my leg would swing out. And then by the time I hit the pose, it looks like I've got no hamstrings as opposed to not flexing them. Because if you actually flex them, then you're externally rotating. But if you don't actually flex them, you just sit on them, like you're sitting on your calf, like you should, then you stay more internally rotated. So that glute actually striates more because there's more of that muscle pushing against the skin. So once I started doing that, I was like, oh, I do have hamstrings. But then it's like you have to just work on those things. If you know you're losing those poses because of one thing, I feel like that would be something that you'd want to like fix like right away. Like hire someone like, hey, these poses I'm losing. How do I get this look? And just have people fucking help you at that point. Right. That's what I would do.
Yeah.
Yep.
So
Yep.
anyways, it's gonna be a good
I
look.
gotta give a shout out to Brady. He at Chicago, he saw me backstage like when I knew I didn't get the top 10, like I was fucking pissed and I handled that shit wrong. But anyway, he comes up to me and he's like, dude, you got a first call out physique. He's like, but you pose like a fucking amateur. He's like, you need to fix your posing because you're not displaying what you have. And if you fix that, it's a game changer. So that was the only difference really between maybe a little more, other than a little more fullness, was just that posing. Like that's what I had to fix. It wasn't the body parts themselves. So which is a nice thing because it's one of the fastest changes you can make, you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah. If you can
So
make those changes. Yeah. It can be hard too, like doing a change last minute because you kind of like freak out a little bit. But if
yeah,
you can nail it. So what did you guys change? Like if you
it wasn't, honestly, it wasn't even like the poses themselves. Half of it was like just slowing down and controlling the breathing, not getting so jittery and
Mhm.
kind of amped up. It was a lot of just, kind of mentally getting in the right place so
Yeah,
that I
sure.
could kind of just pose on stage the way I do in the living room.
Yeah.
So all the crowd and everyone backstage and pro debut and this and that, it got me so like mentally hyped and amped up. I walked on stage like I was walking into the gym, and so I just kind of fell apart up there and shook and got the nerves and everything. So once we kind of fixed the mindset and tweaked a little bit of the posing, it was just completely different and it felt so comfortable up there. So
Nice, man. Yeah. So
yeah,
can you talk about that a little bit then? Just so you like going into your pro debut, obviously from what it sounds like you had some like high expectations for yourself. Um,
oh yeah.
so can you go through how you felt initially at like the first show versus feeling like did you get redemption by your last show and like how did that feel for you
Yeah.
mentally? Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, the first show, I mean, yeah, I wanted first call out at my pro debut. Like that was what was going through my head all of prep because we all set those bars for
Oh
ourselves.
yeah, we all want that.
And yeah, so
Nothing less, like
yeah,
you want to
right.
win that shit.
Exactly.
At
Yeah,
the
yeah.
minimum for his first call.
Yeah. So yeah, the expectations were high and I had, I don't know, a decent amount of hype going into the show, whatever. And I get to the show, everything peak week's going good, coach is there, Austin's there, bringing me in. So like everything's going smooth. And it was literally just the morning of prejudging backstage, the nerves, the anxiety, the weight of the moment and everything all just kind of hit me. And instead of kind of trying to mentally reset, chill out, get my head right, I kind of just fed into it and kind of went in with like a chip on my shoulder and like like I said, like I was walking into the gym. So even if you see like the pictures from Chicago, I look like I'm fucking pissed to be there. you know, because I was
Yeah.
just like, trying to pull away from that anxiety. So ended up getting 11th out of the top 10, which, man, that's such a fucking gut punch. I don't know if you guys have been like out of the top 10, not been able to do your routine.
Yeah. In
But like,
Chicago.
man, oh yeah, yeah, it's such a fucking gut punch, dude.
Yeah.
So after that, we went home, got ready for Tampa again. Didn't really change anything, just, you know, same peak week, basically a little bit more food, but you know, I just kind of figured I have nothing to lose now. Like, it's not going to get worse than this. It's not going to feel worse than this. So I might as well go to Tampa with no expectations instead of having all these expectations, and just try to get more comfortable, live in the moment, be present, process those, you know, those emotions in a better way. And it went perfectly in Tampa. Like, I had fun, I was present, I didn't let it all get too heavy, and you know, you have too high of expectations. So it just, of course, ironically, you let that shit go and you end up performing better.
Yeah.
So ended up getting 7th in Tampa, which that was, you know, I was perfectly happy with that. And then, you know, Texas got the first call out. So or I'm sorry, no, Tampa got the first call out. So that was, I got that goal. Tampa got the first call out. Texas missed that because those 4 guys were nuts. But got the second call out, and then eventually, you know, fought with Lewis and Anthony and stuff. So, you know, got closer to that mix of that real tight, tough first call out in Texas. So it just, man, it just felt like win after win after Chicago. And it just, like I said, it was the perfect way to end the season. This off season, just kind of having that self redemption and get, you know, kind of instilling that belief back in yourself, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
So not to get too long winded about it.
No, no, that's good, man. Like, because I think it's important, because one thing that I definitely noticed working with clients too, and like I'm sure you guys have as coaches have all experienced this, but you might have an amateur competitor who is getting ready to get their pro card, and they have high expectations for themselves, and maybe they don't place the way they would, you know, feel like they should, and they don't get the, you know, that feeling of like, oh yeah, I did this, and they start to like go through that mental battle and then end up quitting. And I think it's important that if you're truly dedicated to something and you believe that you're a champion, it's important to realize that you have to win and lose. You know, you have to lose with grace and not see it as a loss, but see it as a way to just, okay, well, I've got a new challenge, something to improve on now, and more goals. And even when you win, it's like, well, there's still, okay, well, I have to find a new challenge, set more goals, right? Because it's easy to get complacent with the win. So there's, like, winning isn't the best thing in the world. Like, it feels like it, but you learn more when you lose, because it just hits so deep, and it can change you. You know, wins can change you too, for sure, you know, for good or bad. But losses can definitely, if you decide to, they can just change you in such a positive way. So, but it's up to you, right, to make that decision, because again, you could just be throwing in the towel, be like, oh, I didn't get, fuck it, like, I worked hard, okay, I'm doing something different. But it doesn't work like that, right? Especially we are in this position because, I mean, we won't quit, you know, because we love this shit too much to quit. So when you really love something, man, like, doesn't matter if you win or lose, you're just fucking happy to be there. So it's good that, you know, I think you turned your mindset around into gratitude, because me and Mo, we had the same thing last year. You know, Mo did his pro debut, didn't go the way he wanted to, but then had redemption. And it's like, man, like, once you have that fall, and then you decide, well, I'm just going to look at all the positives, then things get better for you, and you're like, oh wow, things are good now.
Yeah,
How did that happen? Well,
yeah,
you
yeah,
were thinking about all the good shit, and you were doing all the good shit, right?
right. Yeah. Well, and I gotta say, like, it was really cool because of course you get that 11th place and you get that gut punch, and like the way my brain went is like, you know, you go to that place where it's like, I'm not cut out for this, that, you know, everyone was just bullshitting me. I don't actually, you know, have any potential in this. Why am I wasting my time? Da da da. And it's like, it was really fucking cool because I've never been around many pros. Like I live in Minnesota. I've never been to a pro show before Chicago, like not even attended one. So I didn't know any of these guys personally, and I met all these other pros backstage. And in my head, when I got 11th at Chicago, it was like, oh, everyone was bullshitting me. They were just, blowing smoke on my ass, or you even think like people are probably talking shit, making fun of you, because you got so much lower than you expected. And it was a complete opposite. Like everyone was just encouraging. And then when I got 7th in Tampa, like everyone was happy for me, from Chicago. And it was really fucking cool to have that camaraderie of like even guys that I lost or that I beat, like were happy for me for an improved placing. It was fucking cool, man. Like it was a real cool environment, and just like a cool environment to help pull me out of that shitty headspace,
Yeah.
So I'm definitely grateful for that too.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I think
dude.
I think as open guys, like only we understand like what we go through and like the things we have to do to even get on stage and what it takes. So we've
Right.
all lost, like we've all had those like disappointing moments. So I think
To
it's
losing
good.
support.
Yeah, it's just relatable to all of us. Like when you see another guy
Mhm.
down and out because of a placing or whatever it might be, it's like it's so relatable to all of us. Like
Oh,
and then we also know how fast you can turn it around.
yeah,
And so it's like don't beat yourself up too much. Like have your moment of being disappointed, let that shit go, change your mindset, and it's amazing what can happen in the span of like 2 or 3 weeks just by like
yeah,
getting shit together, making some quick improvements, and then you bring a whole new package to the stage, and then you look back and you're like, man, why was I so upset? Like,
yeah, exactly.
yeah,
Crazy how fast the body can change too. Like this is like a controversial subject a little bit, but I'm curious what you guys think. Do you think like when you get like a bad placing, then a good placing, then bad placing, whatever? Do you think, because I hear like a lot of guys are like, oh, the judging was bad at this show and that show. The judging was good at this show and that show. Or it's like the other thing is it was like, okay, well, I was off, there's something wrong with me. Which way do you guys tend to go? You know, because I know for me, I always go towards like, well, what could I have done? And like
yeah,
what could I have changed? Because I feel like that's like in a judge's eye, if they don't see that you look good, well, then you have to look better, clearly. Because if you look that fucking good, they're gonna see you. That's the way I think about it. But I know a lot of guys will say like, different judges, and which is true, but which way do you guys tend to go? I'm curious.
Well, I've never competed in the pros, but like just the last year when I did Toronto, it was different judges from Toronto to Vancouver, and I didn't get the pro card in Toronto, but I knew I wasn't 100%. So it's like, like you kind of expect, like I was still expecting to win, because I was way bigger than everyone, but when you get like I got rewarded in Vancouver for a better look. You know what I
Right.
mean? So I think that's kind of like the takeaway from what I had. I was upset when I didn't get it in Toronto, but when I did get it in Vancouver, I'm like, you know what? Like they expected a little bit more, and I gave it more in Vancouver, and that's why I got rewarded. I didn't see it as like, oh well, the judges were shittier in Toronto, and now they got it right in Vancouver, right? So it's like, it's
Exactly.
just like your look was different, so you got judged differently. They were looking for something, you didn't bring it, and now you brought it, and now you got rewarded.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, like you guys are saying, like the body can change 2, 3 weeks. It's not like, yeah, I think the judges do have different opinions, obviously, but yeah, like you said, like if you've improved from show to show, then you're gonna get better placings because you just look
Yeah.
better. So
And keep it in mind, look,
Yeah,
I even when I did Toronto, there's some judges that came to see me and said like, I'm not gonna say who, but like they said like I had you winning. So it's like I still had that in my head. I'm like, fuck man, like but it's still the ones that didn't had me winning, they expected something more, probably. So and then when I got into Vancouver, there was completely different judging. Even if maybe I would have showed up with the shape I had in Toronto, I would have won. But the idea is my mentality was, well, look, I'm going to make sure that when I show up in Vancouver, they have nothing to take away. I'm going to be big. I'm going to be healed out of my mind. And then if I don't win, like I did everything.
exactly.
yeah.
Yeah.
You, I'll kind of go in like a like kind of half and half on it. So like for me, I would be willing to. So okay, so Steve judged Chicago and Tampa, right? So I would be willing to bet, because my look really wasn't too different. I'd be willing to bet that Steve saw me in Chicago and could see my physique, maybe I'm wrong, was deserving of a higher placing had I presented it better. In other words, he could see the potential of it, but wasn't going to reward it because of the way I presented it. And then 2 weeks later, when he saw that I made adjustments in the posing and all of that, you know, maybe then it's like, okay, well, now we can award the physique that's on stage because it's actually being presented properly. He's showing us the poses, staying in the poses long enough, you know, for it to be a fair critique. So I don't know if that makes sense to you guys, but it's like,
Yeah.
I think Steve, Tyler, guys like that can see the, like, your best potential placing and then see where you're presenting it and falling short of that 100%, if that makes sense.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I think they reward what they see. So like if you
Right.
show up better and you actually look, they love that shit. If you made adjustments to something that you either you consulted them or it was just plain obvious that you needed to do adjustments, the fact that you take that time to make those adjustments, look, it's human nature. You're gonna reward it. I do believe in that. Like if you see someone that's just like he's right there, but he's not like at his peak, but you see him the week after. Look, you don't know what he's going to look like. It's impossible to determine what he's going to look like 2-3 weeks after. But if you see there's a drastic improvement, for sure, human nature, you're a judge, you're going to see like, hey, like this guy deserves to get put up a little bit more. Like we saw it even with Jordan Hutchinson that got placed. He was 7th in Chicago, or like he was. I don't even think he made the top 5. And then
he eventually did, yeah.
Or
he was in like
5th,
8th or 9th, and then he moved up to 5th. But yeah, like,
and then he was 3rd, and then now last show he was like 2nd. So it's like,
yeah. And I know they told Jordan just for Texas. I know they told him just come in peeled out of your mind, and that's what he did. So they rewarded it. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
So
you pretty much always have to come in peeled out of your mind. Like if you're not, unless you're like legitimately a structure guy, like there's no chance for you because guys are just too good, right? Like especially for all of us, like we're not really structure guys. We can bring mass and conditioning. So how are we going to win? Fucking mass and conditioning, right? So that's what we do, obviously, right? But that's why guys like Samson or Andrew Jack or like a Brandon Curry, like they have such beautiful structure that, and then it's always like, well, if they could get totally peeled, they just crush everybody forever, which is true. But everybody has pros and cons about their physique, so that's just the way it is, right? That's otherwise like we would have no chance. so it's a good thing. It's a good thing we can get fucking peeled out of our minds, right?
Yeah. Well, and then you look at top 3 at Texas, man, what a great combination of conditioning, size, and structure. I mean, well, other than Nathan, but God, Nathan's structure and his lines are just so pretty. Like it's crazy. It's crazy how competitive he is while giving up as much size as he does sometimes. Like
it's looking
his
looking less and
conditioning was
less like
just
he's giving up
wild.
a lot of size, because he was a 212 guy, right? And that was like a few years ago. So he's probably what, like 230 something.
I think I saw on his Instagram he was like 230 for Texas, you know. So not a huge guy, but man, his lines and the conditioning and the shape and detail are just perfect. Like he looks so good.
That's
Man, if I was 230, I'd look like I didn't even work out.
That's what what I'm saying, right? Exactly.
I wouldn't be able to turn pro at 230.
No.
Nah.
Not bodybuilding. Maybe men's physique if I transferred the whole upper body.
Joe, do you remember the Canadian Nationals CBBF back in like 2016? I think you were like 4th that year.
Yeah, I think it's 5th, I think.
You were 5th, yeah. But some good guys there. I was like 12th place or something like that. And I was probably like 230. I was just so small. So yeah.
I think
what were you in Dubai?
Sorry? What I weigh?
Yeah, in Dubai, because you're fucking full as a house.
Yeah, I was 257 point something.
Oh shit, okay. So we're like the same exact weight. Because that's what I was in Texas, 257.
Yeah, I was monitoring my weight all day because I wanted to have a little bit of a more conditioned, dry look. So in Chicago, I was like 260 to 261, like a little bit spilled over. So then I pulled it back down to 257, And then I right like last minute, I did a shot at glucagon, went on stage, perfect.
Hell yeah.
Yeah,
Nice. Yeah, you
yeah,
look even bigger in Dubai than Chicago.
yeah. That was, in my opinion, that was like my perfect peak of the season. I think I could have done well in any show looking like that. But again, it was same judges, 16th place in Chicago, 10th place in Dubai. It's still a big improvement, no matter how you look at it. So I felt good about that. But obviously, the most important thing is, the placing is one thing, but the way you look, I was actually proud of that look, and I really enjoyed the way I looked. So that was a big one. That's kind of where I was like, oh, that was a good peak, like my best peak so far. That's pretty cool. So
Yep.
that was almost more rewarding, but yeah,
And a better way to go out into the off season by getting those final set of stage pictures of like, I'm ending on my best note,
oh, that's why I couldn't end it after Chicago. I would have been too angry this offseason. I would have just been like,
You and me both, man. You and me both.
yeah, I'd be like, sorry, babe, we're not going to the cottage. We're just going to the gym.
Yep.
So no,
I think you surprised a lot of people this year, man. Like like we were talking about, like because of the fact that you brought like crazy conditioning, you placed really good at some shows, man.
yeah.
Like if we're talking about like Toronto, look, I don't know how many shows you did, like 9, but like yeah, you have some really good places, man.
Yeah, and I was happy with them. Obviously, yeah, we always want better, but yeah, no, it was good. I mean, yeah, you do your best and you see what happens, right? Like, because a lot of it's not up to us. We do our best. We get to the stage. We present it the best we can, and then just let God take care of the rest.
Yeah.
But
And then Andrew Jack comes.
yeah, exactly. That's what I mean. It's like, well, anyways, who's getting second place?
Yeah, exactly.
And at least they're bringing up the
Yeah.
prize money, so a second place, soon won't even be that bad. Especially, yeah, like Dubai, it was like 50 grand or something like that, or 40 grand for second. Like that's more than winning 2 shows.
Yeah,
Like, that's kind of crazy, right? And even classic physique, men's physique, they got good payouts. It's like, people want to do
Classic,
those shows,
yeah, I
right?
think classic is going up to 100
Yeah, exactly. So
next year. Yeah,
yeah. Do you guys think the Olympia is going to raise the prize money this year, or do you think they're just going to keep it the same?
they didn't say anything. I mean,
Yeah, it's pretty quiet. It's coming up, so I wonder
I
if they're
feel like
gonna.
they won't say it
maybe,
until like right before.
yeah, maybe that's what they're gonna do. Yeah,
Because
Yeah,
Arnold
yeah.
said he was going to up the Arnold, so I feel like they'll probably up it a bit.
I mean, I don't know. I know it's not the same show. It's not the same but I don't know. It kind of looks bad if all the like a couple others, and Dubai's coming. Like Dubai's going to be eventually. Dubai, look, they probably doubled. I don't know how much they're giving to the winner for the Open, but I'm thinking probably like 250 for next year. They're going to be up there too, man. Like they're not that far. Like, and the money over there is like unlimited, so
Yeah,
it's gonna go up to 400 or 500 grand, I'm sure, like for Dubai, because they're, especially if they place it right next to the Olympia, they're gonna want to like stack up all the good guys, and they're gonna stack up the money for sure.
exactly. And the good guys are gonna go where the money is, obviously.
100%,
So
yeah.
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 No, I mean, like,
I think in the next year at least, I think if not this year, the Olympia will definitely have to increase prize money next year. And
Yeah.
I think inevitably within 2 years, if Dubai does another 2 years, keep going, I think they at least take over the Arnold for the #2 show in the world, at least. And I think they'll be rivaling the Olympia because, like you said, they got such deep pockets. They're not going to be outspent, so it's going to be up to the Olympia to keep upping to keep upping the game, whether it's prize money, production value,
But who knows? I mean,
So
the Arnold could do the same too.
yeah,
That's the thing. Like he just bumped it for like what, it was 300. He went to 5.
You go 5?
Like,
Oh shit!
yeah, it's
Yeah.
500. It's more than the Olympia. So they either match it or they keep it as it is. But like I wouldn't be surprised if Arnold just says, you know what, next year 6, 7, like who
Yeah,
knows?
yeah.
yeah,
Well,
If there's
I'm
someone who
all
has
for
deep
it.
pockets, it's fucking Arnold.
Yeah,
Yeah,
facts.
yeah.
yeah,
Just
I'm all
make
for it.
it a cool million.
Yeah,
Right.
make it
Whatever.
seeming it out.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Second place 500, third place 250.
There you go.
man.
That'd be beautiful.
If they could make all the shows like a minimum of like 50, that'd be nice too.
Well, that's why
Yeah,
like the next years winning shows is going to be really hard because all the guys that are good, like I would do the same. If I would be like a top guy, I would go and do all the fucking shows. Like why not? If you can stack up, like if it gets up to like 40, 50 grand a show, why not do like 4 or 5 shows in like 4 weekends? You know, you just
yeah,
make 200 grand in fucking a month, you know?
right.
Like why not? If you're a top guy, you know?
Like Dexter
Yeah,
Jackson used to be back in the day.
Yeah.
it's gonna
Dexter
happen for sure.
Jackson did
Samson's
8 shows a
not gonna
year.
take an off season. Samson's not gonna take an off season. He's gonna do all shows all year and disqualify everyone.
I don't think Samson likes dieting that much.
Yeah.
Samson's like turned into like a 1 or 2 show a year guy.
Well, how many
I
shows
wonder
did you do
too.
last year?
Well, what he did the Arnold.
No, he did. He did after the Olympia. He did all the other shows in Europe. He did like 4
True,
shows.
yeah.
Then he did the Arnold.
Yeah.
And then because I think he just keeps it a window. Like he doesn't want to do all. I'm kidding when I say all year. He's not going to do all year because health reasons, and also he wants to improve for the Olympia. But like as soon as the Olympia is done, like he's going to be the one doing Dubai. He's going to be doing like all the other like UK shows and whatever there is in Europe, and then he might stack it up for the Arnold and then shut it down. You know,
Well, it makes perfect sense for him, especially where he lives in Europe. You know,
100%.
yeah.
Yeah. True. You guys want to do some questions? We got a bunch of questions. We haven't done any for a while, so I got some stacked up.
Fire it.
Let's go.
Go.
If you guys are doing high dose GH, should you always take T3?
I don't.
No.
Yeah.
Lab work dependent, case by case. And I thought it was T4. I think they mean.
Yeah,
Usually
I would.
people
yeah,
run
If I would,
T4.
yeah, if I would use
T4.
something, I would use
Yeah.
T4.
Yeah.
Yep. I don't though personally.
You don't use T4 or T3 ever?
Oh no, I just not like as a automatic with GH.
Oh
Like
yeah.
yeah, no. I run GH without T3, T4 in the off season. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I've been considering using T4 in the off season. But obviously, like you said, like it's going to be lab work dependent. So I just never really checked because I've never really had an issue with thyroid in the past, so I don't always check it. But it could be a thing, like if it does go low.
Yeah.
But I don't think I've ever had that problem with any dose really of GH. Thoughts on injectable L-carnitine? Do any of you guys use injectable L-carnitine for your preps or
I've
for the
used
off
it, yeah.
season?
I use it all the
I've used
time,
it.
actually. It's pretty great.
Yeah, I used it. Yeah.
Yeah.
I used it. Well, all the natural shows I was doing before, that's the only fat burner I was using. Well, fat burner, yeah. Like, but yeah, even now I use it. It's a little annoying because you have to inject it so much.
Yeah.
But I mean, at that point, when you're in prep, you're just poking needles anyway. So
What's
Yeah,
what's one more needle?
anyway.
yeah.
Joe, you use it all the time? Off season too?
Yeah, I won't use it every workout, but like bigger workouts, I like it because I find my training endurance is way better. Like on a leg day or a back day, I get way more energy just from the L-carnitine instead of relying on like stimulants and shit.
Oh yeah, that's good actually. Smart.
What do you do? Like 600? What do you dose it at?
I usually do 500.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think I might try. I've never used it, but I've heard people using it in the off season. I think I might give it a go this year because I've never used it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it works pretty good, man. Honestly, especially when you're heavier, like your endurance usually goes down a bit.
Yeah.
Like with that in play on like a big training day, like a leg day or something, like I'm able to train for like a lot longer than normally and get like more out of my sets and everything. So
Nice.
Okay,
Okay, cool.
I've never tried it pre-workout. I've only ever done it like pre-cardio on a contest prep, but I find that it works really well. And I'll usually just start out at 100 and then I'll work up to like 500. Like 400, I think I went to the Burn from the Hell product I was using from Biolabs. I believe it's like 100 milligrams or something like that of the L-carnitine. It's a mixture of things.
yeah.
But I really found that to be really effective because like you said, Joe, I mean, especially in the morning, I don't want to have too many stimulants because then I'll crash later. But I found that it was like good energy without, like, you didn't really get a crash. You just felt like, oh yeah, like I'm more like clear-minded. There's like choline in there and stuff. So it was kind of a nice, like, okay, I'm more clear-minded. Like my brain isn't as foggy in the mornings. I found when I was taking that, and then I could only just have a little bit of caffeine, like 150 milligrams from a coffee, and be like ready to go.
Yeah.
But I found that even without it, I was like dragging more for sure. Especially on the cardio, but I never tried a pre-workout. So that's maybe something I'll try for like a leg day, because you know, you get tired at the end for sure. So that's cool. Mo, do you use carnitine?
No, never used it.
Never. Never needed to. Just always getting peeled.
Yeah, get shredded.
What's your opinion on small amounts of test for women in the off season?
Like female TRT.
Yeah, like small amounts of tests, so like hyper small dose.
Yeah, if you need it, like if you're like deficient, maybe, but not like no, I wouldn't.
Yeah,
I mean,
No,
it depends. It depends on
I
class,
think
I
it
guess.
depends.
But
Yeah.
like,
I think if they're like a, if they're doing like women's physique or women's bodybuilding and they have like a low test level for their physiological range, then you could, bump it up so it's in like a high normal range for a female. But that's just like, it depends. Like usually that'd be like probably women more so in their 40s or something like along those lines. Cause I have a client that's women's physique and she's in her 40s and I got her doing the female version of TRT, which is like, like less than 10 milligrams a week. And it just bumped her up into a high normal range and she was seeing like way better progress from that. So I think in some cases it's applicable, but not for like every single female.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, I feel like I've seen women talk about using test in women, like female coaches will talk about tests with using test, small amounts of test instead of like a primo or an anavar or something else. But I feel like that there's still more potential for virilization, just due to them being less anabolic overall and more androgenic. So like testosterone compounds, right? Versus like a primo or an anavar, which most women can use and not have side effects. With testosterone, if you can push it up just a little bit too far, if you don't know what you're doing, then even by mistake you could really like overdo it. Because the amount needed, like you said, Joe, like 10 milligrams a week, that's actually hard to do, because
You gotta
usually,
use like, an insulin needle for that because it's so small.
yeah, so you're taking like
Yeah.
0.1, right? And you wouldn't take 10 IUs out, because that would be like a decent dose. Like that would be like 25 milligrams or something like that, right? So you don't want to do that. You got to be
No.
really, really careful if you are going to do that. Because if you took 25 milligrams by mistake every day or every other day or something like that, or even once a week, that's still twice as much as we'd recommend. So it's
Yeah.
just playing with fire, in my opinion. There's a lot of research on Anavar, especially, and its use in women and being very safe and low toxicity and all that. So I would just recommend that personally. Not recommend, but if hypothetically. Um, High prolactin and high progesterone after 2 years natty. So I guess he's gone off cycle for 2 years, has high prolactin and progesterone. Solutions or advice? Like, it's a
for
weird
these
one.
kinds of yeah, for these kinds of things, it's your doctor that's going to be taking care of that. Like it's not someone that's like your coach. Yeah, can you know what? No, like everything has to be like monitored by your doctor and whatever. If it's naturally, is he saying that he's been on a cycle?
Been off for
I
2 years.
think so. He said he's been
Been off?
off. He said after 2 years natty. So I guess he's been off for 2 years. He's natty now 2 years after probably using cycles, still having prolactin and high progesterone. I mean, you're right. Obviously, Justin, like we can't like tell you what to do because it's just a weird situation that you should talk to your doctor about. Like there's a lot of natural things you could try,
Yeah.
but like we don't know anything about you and we don't know what your cycles were or how high they are, like those numbers
Yeah,
are,
because there's so
right?
many factors that can affect that,
We
So
don't know.
like,
Yeah.
yeah, like you need you need to look at someone that is a medical professional, which we're not, and to be able to identify why this is still an issue if you've been off for that amount of time. So there's a
That's the
reason why,
thing, right?
like
It's
it
like
was,
there's a
yeah.
problem and he's not causing anything for like to have this problem. Like that's why it's different. Like that's why you need to go to your doctor as opposed to
Yeah,
something
like
obviously
if you're
if they're not
taking
taking like
something,
Deca and
yeah,
it's
if
Yeah.
you're
no,
taking something,
okay.
if you're taking something, yeah, and your levels are at that level are there, then yeah, okay, now there's more indicators that can be like, okay, well, what is actually causing this? Why, what we can we do in terms of to mitigate those factors? But like if you're not doing anything and you still have that issue, maybe it was probably induced by the use of anabolics, but at this point, you need someone who's a professional in that field.
Yeah.
Yeah, you probably need a prescription from a
Yeah.
doctor.
You might. Yeah. Because he asked the question a couple times and we never
Yeah.
responded. That's why I wanted to bring it up. How do you guys improve your digestion when pushing a lot of calories?
Sauerkraut.
Yeah, that's a good one. Yeah. Papaya is a good one.
EPC 157.
That's a good one, man. Yeah.
Digestive enzymes can also help.
Yeah.
Maybe
Yeah, I load
maybe
it.
a probiotic as well.
Yeah.
I load those things up. Yeah,
He's got
I
the
load
whole
those
gut
things up.
stack. You got the
Got
sauerkraut
everything
there
you
too.
need.
Got it on hand. Sauerkraut's in the fridge, bro.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Apparently it gets better if you leave it on the counter. If you buy it from
Really?
the grocery store and you open it and leave it on the counter, wait till it's room temp,
In the
even more
sun. Yeah,
bacteria.
that's a good idea. Yeah.
Sounds disgusting.
That's
Yeah, just leave it in the sun outside,
yeah.
open, and then just for 3 days.
Let some more shit grow on it.
Yo,
Yeah,
I tried to make sauerkraut myself a couple of times and it just turned out so terribly every time.
Oh, dude.
Oof.
No doubt, bro.
Dude, the first time it started getting moldy, I was like, oh God, threw that out. Second time it was just like way too salty. I'm like, oh, I can't eat this. Third time it was just still watery. I'm like, oh man, am I ever gonna get this right? I just went back to the grocery store and just bought like three
It's
three
not
jars
it's
of
not
it.
worth it. Yeah, it's not worth
Yeah,
it.
yeah,
There's some stuff that you just shouldn't try to do on your own. It's like making gear, you know? Like
exactly. Yeah, but it sounds
guys
so
that
easy
like,
on Google. It's like it's on Google.
yeah,
It's like get some cabbage, shred it up, throw it in there with some vinegar and salt, and then just wait. And you're like,
yeah,
okay, come back and it's moldy. I'm like, what the?
yeah, I know.
Yeah,
I was just gonna say, I think I take a whole gut stack, a million supplements, because I got diagnosed with ulcerative colitis a couple years ago. But the single biggest is in the morning, 20 grams of glutamine, just before I eat my first meal, anything, 20 grams of glutamine. I put 5 grams of creatine, 5 grams of this, I think it's called like Seneca fiber. It's some type of fiber. And man, I'll drink that like just doing my cardio, walking outside in the morning, and it just, I don't know, it's been super beneficial. It just calms your gut down. Like if you wake up nauseous without an appetite, it really helps. So that's been my biggest thing.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
gluten.
the ulcerative colitis one, we got a question about that specifically as well, because I have the same issue. And
Hmm.
the biggest thing that I'll do is I'll do celery juice every morning. Glutamine also, I do like 15 grams of that.
Yep.
And then I'll do like a lemon juice with it as well, like a hot lemon. But you know, sometimes with the digestion stuff, like less is more. Like first of all, if you've been pushing calories, there's also like certain things that you're probably going to be consuming with those calories. Like for example, like a lot of like sucralose and sauces and like things like that, which I think starting to like be aware and eliminate some of those can help. Even like certain spices may irritate your gut. Like just certain people are like, I love hot sauce, but I can't overdo hot sauce. I just do it like 1 or 2 meals a day instead of like all my meals, like things like that. Like you got to pay attention that when you eat a food, just the plain food by itself, like a chicken breast and rice, like if you're having a digestive issue after you eat that, then that's an indication that there's already a problem. So it might not be the food that's a problem, or it could be the food that's a problem. Now you have to get an allergy food test in order to decipher if that's your body's response or if it's the food creating the response. So let's say it's actually not the food. Okay, so eat that food, still having issues. So that's like where you have like ulcerative colitis or Crohn's, and it's chronic. It becomes more chronic, and a lot of the times that's due to it's either a virus or a bacteria, or something is off with your gut, the BT and HCl, the hydrochloric acid in your stomach. So one of those things are going to be off, so then you just start addressing those one at a time. Okay, well, if you are taking like a betaine supplement, you might be overdoing 1 out of 7 of those. If you're not eating a lot of fruits and veggies, maybe start incorporating that. If you're eating a lot of like inflammatory foods, like whatever, like canola oil, it sneaks its way into shit. Gluten, things like that. Like everybody's different, but unless you pay attention to the foods, you're not going to know what's causing the issue. And just basically like probably same with you, Felix. You just mostly like 99% of the time, if you do have ulcerative colitis or IBS or whatever, you just have a limited food selection. So you have like a list of foods. These are the ones that are good. You have a list of foods. These are the ones that are bad. All the ones on the bad list, you only eat those once a year after fucking prep. The rest of the year, right? 51, weeks of the year, you're just eating off that 10, maybe 12 foods list. Because you know they're not gonna fuck you up. So that's basically like what I would say. Do you guys have anything to add to that? I feel like I said a lot there.
I think you pretty much got it all, to be honest.
Yeah. Well, but I would also say that people don't have to listen as much to like every carb you eat has to come from rice or whatever. If I
Yeah.
Personally, I think if your digestion is completely fine, no issues, but you can have, one of your meals can be 10 ounces of pasta every day, have the gluten. If it doesn't bother you personally, keep it as one of your food choices. You don't have to take it out just because everyone says it's not, it's not the cleanest or whatever that means. But have your own list of, for you personally, what works for your digestion and what doesn't. Don't worry about other people's foods.
Yeah, exactly. A good example of that is a lot of people can't digest the maltol that's in a sweet potato. So they eat sweet potato, they get super gassy.
Yeah, my fucking dog.
Yeah, yeah, oh yeah.
Sweet potato, he shits himself.
Yeah, my dog can't eat steak.
Yes, you're right.
My dog can't eat steak. She literally has the worst runs. I felt so
Oh,
bad
that sucks.
yeah, dude, like, but we've been giving her like these like chewy bone things that are better for her teeth anyway. So,
Oh, good.
but she was like a little steak monster, and she like loved little bits of steak. And I
Yeah.
gave her some steak one day, and she just since then, like every single time, she'll just have horrible.
Oh,
Yeah, it's
that
not good.
sucks.
Um, let's do like 2 more. What are you guys doing for the rest of the day? You guys training today or
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm training right after this.
nice? Let's see. So talking about getting nervous on stage. Someone's asking, do you all get nervous on stage? Yes, Felix, you said you did. Do you guys, do you rest of you guys, do you get nervous on stage? Or I think we all get a little bit nervous, but it
And the
depends.
only time I was ever nervous was at my pro debut. Like
Yeah.
all the shows before that, I never felt nervous, and then the Vancouver Pro after that, I didn't feel nervous. It's just that one
Yeah.
show.
Something
Pro,
about
pro,
the
de-
debut. Yeah.
yeah, pro debut by far the most nerves, but yeah, it's always a little bit there for me, but it's just social anxiety in general, whether I'm on stage or just in a crowd of people I don't know. It kind of just comes from the same place. I just happen to be on stage.
True.
So
Yeah. What about you, Joe? You get nervous before the stage at all?
Maybe like a little bit before, but like I feel like it's like the longer I've competed, the less I'm really nervous about it. It's more just like you're in like your zone before you go on stage, so you're just really focused versus like I think when I was younger, it was more nerves, or when I was like trying to get my pro card or doing my pro debut, a little more nerves. But I feel like the last couple shows I did, I wasn't really nervous, especially when you're on point, like things look on point. It's like you're not really worried about it because okay, like this is the best I could look today. So like I'm just gonna enjoy it.
Yeah.
That makes sense. What about you, Justin? Did you get nervous at all for your pro qualifiers?
Um, I think I got nervous when there's expectations. When like you kind of like
Pressure.
it's not, yeah, you put pressure on yourself because you're like, look, I shouldn't be losing. You know what I mean? You're kind of
Yeah.
like, no, but like at that point, like when I was at the point where I was doing the pro qualifiers, it's like I'm supposed to be the guy to win, so it's like, um So yeah, you kind of put that expectation on yourself. It's not even other people, it's just yourself. You're like, this should be mine. Now that I turned pro, um we'll see, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know how I'm going to feel. I'm probably going to feel nervous, but mostly excited, I think, when I'm going to do my first show, because I never even thought I was going to turn pro. So everything now is kind of like extra for me. That's how I see it. But you know what, like, it depends. Like, I'm sure some other guys feel that way, and then when it's time that, like, oh, they're actually good at it, and now there's actually an outcome that, like, you're closer. Like, let's say if you get a guy, like, let's say Mo next year does a show and he's like top two at a show, well, then the nerves start setting in, because now you're like, okay, well, I'm close, you know. So like,
Good point.
when you're
Yeah.
when you're like when you're like fighting to get to in the first call out versus you're fighting to win a show, I think it's very different also in the perspective of things. So like, obviously we say that we're not like, now I don't expect necessarily to be that nervous. I think I'll be more excited, but who knows what happens when I'll be actually up there, you know. But
Yeah.
I usually get more excited. Like when I did my region, because I had to qualify first before doing my pro qualifiers. When I did my regional show, I had no pressure. I knew I was winning the show, so I showed up. I had fun, whatever. I was posing, this, that, and but it's always on the outcome. It's always on, like, what's at stake, what's on the line, you know.
Yeah.
Can you imagine if you're
Yeah.
doing your first regional show and Justin's there?
Yeah.
3:35 on stage.
You just
But that's
quit.
what happened. That, you know, what happened is that, like, I because I took 2 years off. 2 years off, and it was my first open show the year that the 2 years before that, or it's like a year and a half ago, anyways. So I gained like 40 pounds of stage weight. So like, I didn't like people didn't really know what I was gonna look like. And then when I showed up at the regional show, the guy that was next to me was like maybe like 215, you know, and I showed up, I was like 287 or something like that, you know. It's just the contrast was so drastic. And so yeah, but you know, you have when you haven't competed in a long time, you have to qualify again. So, but yeah, it is weird when you get to nationals. It's a little it's like, okay, you kind of expect that, but at regional show, yeah, it was you're not expecting necessarily to see that, you know.
Yeah.
That's
Even at nationals sometimes. Yeah, and I remember too, because I was like, because then the heavyweight beat you, and I was like,
Yeah.
I don't know, man, whatever, you know, like, and
But
see,
that's what I was talking about. That's what I was
yeah,
talking about. A lot of people had me winning that show.
yeah,
But I'll have to give it to him. Like, Ryan was sharp, man. Like, he was
yeah, and
nails.
that's
And I
exactly it, right? Yeah,
and
like,
I wasn't, you know, and I wasn't, you know. So it's like, yeah,
Who
okay,
beat you?
I looked more like an open Ryan Moore.
Okay, I don't know.
He trains up Pure. He trains up Pure, but he looks more like a classic physique, you know. But he was nails. Like, he was really, really sharp, and he had an awesome structure. He was very well peaked. I look good at prejudging. I was pretty sharp at prejudging, but I spilled over. I spilled over at finals. So when I got, because he wasn't in my class, right? So I won my class. I was against Skylar that turned pro this year.
yeah,
Um, so I won that. I won the class, and then when I got to the overall, well, it wasn't my prejudging look anymore, and it was the finals look, you know. And the finals look wasn't as good, and
yeah,
it was weird, like how they did it that year. They started with the opens, and they ended with the opens.
mm.
So we started at 8 o'clock in the morning, and we got on stage at 11 at night.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
your look would definitely change.
Oh
It was
yeah.
so, because I thought I was getting on stage at 6, because usually that's what they do. They do the opens, then they do the girls, whatever.
Yeah,
But then when they finished with the girls at prejudging, they redid the girls for finals, and then they went on the opposite direction, because I think they were trying to keep everyone in the stands. So
yeah.
yeah.
That's what I mean, though. Like, that's a good example of how, like, the judges, they didn't reward you because they're like, oh, he could be better. He just needs to be a little bit sharper. This guy's
And
sharper. Yeah,
I think they saw me at prejudging, and then they saw me at finals, and they're like, this fucking guy just shit the bed, you know.
yeah,
What
So
happened?
like, yeah, so it's even worse, I think, because it's like they already saw me better in the morning, and then they saw me at 9, it wasn't as good. So
yeah,
but
yeah,
I just made sure when I did Vancouver, I just made sure that I was like, you know what, I'm not fucking up again. I'm gonna be sharp. I was a little bit flat, but I was like, I'm towering over everyone. even if I'm a little bit flat, but I'm just conditioned as fuck, I won't lose. You know what I mean? So that's kind of like was my strategy for Vancouver, and I was the exact same weight. It was 280 in Vancouver.
Yeah. Damn. Yeah. Imagine,
I
imagine
wanted to do. I would have really liked to do the show with you guys though. Who competed in Vancouver that year? Mo did it. You did it.
Yeah, I did it. Yeah.
it was,
Yeah,
it
me.
was
was there too, I think.
There was like 6 people there, right?
Oh,
So
Yeah, I
Hassan,
would have loved to do that one.
Aaron,
Because they
Nate.
did it weird. Like they did the pros in between the prejudging and the finals. It was so weird, bro.
I
Like
felt
they
like the
never did
halftime
that
show.
before.
I felt like the halftime show for the amateurs.
Yeah. It was
Just
so weird.
guest posing.
Yes, posing.
Yeah, it's so weird.
Yeah.
I like the way they did it this year. Open on first for both the morning and the night show. Bang, right away. No waiting around. No fucking about. Just get in there.
Nobody
Settle in.
How much
45
time in
minutes.
between stage? How much time in between stage for you guys in prejudging and finals?
It was probably like 4 hours.
Perfect.
Yeah, exactly.
That's
Like
good.
went
That's
home,
good.
meal, nap, up, meal, go
That's
back.
good.
Boom. Like
Yeah.
not like fuck, when's this day gonna be over? It was just like awesome. Like, okay, now the show's done. We still got tons of time. Enjoy our night, have dinner, like everything's good, you know. Toronto
Yeah,
ends at like 11 o'clock. You're like, fuck, what's open? Nothing. Okay.
yeah.
Hotel food gets burnt. Oh, fuck, dude. Like, we're just getting McDonald's now.
Yeah.
Yeah, what'd you get post show at Toronto? Yeah, dude, McDonald's, pizza was the only thing that was open.
Hey, not bad though. Not
Not
bad.
bad, dude. I wouldn't obviously at post show you wouldn't be complaining.
Yeah,
Yeah,
still
You
enjoy.
know?
Still enjoyable.
Yeah. Get
You
some
know?
kai cookies, you know, like
Couple
some
McFlurries.
Oh,
Yeah, there we go.
dude. That's what I'm saying. Yeah, we're happy, man. You
Good
know, it
shit.
doesn't take much to please a bodybuilder after a show, you know.
Yeah.
Start
No.
handing him treats and no, it should be good. Dude, I'm pretty excited. We're all gonna have a crazy rest of our off season. 2025 is gonna be a stacked year. All of us are gonna compete in 2025 then, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Everyone
Well,
doing Toronto Pro?
It's all
I'll do it.
Everybody
If I'm
Toronto.
competing
Everybody
next year, I'll
Toronto and
do it.
Vancouver.
100%, yeah.
Let's
Yeah,
go.
Toronto's likely. Toronto's likely for sure.
I think AV might be stepping into Toronto too. Not 100% sure, but
Ooh.
maybe.
Well,
And
Clint is
someone
probably
else.
going to do it.
Someone else who I won't say, but another
Ooh.
Canadian.
Yeah.
Yeah, we know.
Yeah.
Should be good.
Well,
That's
there you go.
awesome.
That's like a half the lineup there at least.
Oh yeah, dude.
Mhm.
It's gonna be good.
Yeah, a lot of Canadian pros are competing this year.
Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah, Aaron's gonna come back and compete.
Yeah, Aaron too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
That's fucking
especially
huge.
like it's just getting more and more tough to qualify. So you gotta pick the right shows, you gotta do more shows, you just gotta get in there, get in the mix, right? So you
Yeah,
can't
it's gonna be
qualify
fun.
unless you get on stage. So we gotta get on stage and duke it out. Should be really fun.
Oh yeah.
All right, boys, let's wrap it up there. Appreciate you guys. Really enjoyed today, just
Hang
chatting
on,
and
dude.
shooting the shit. We didn't really talk about anything at all specifically, but it's all good.
Good
Yep.
We had some fun, and that's the most important thing. So,
Yeah.
thanks, Felix, for your time, man. Really appreciate it. It was good getting to know you a little bit too.
Yeah.
Definitely
Thanks
have
for
to
having
have
me
you on
on.
again. You're like 99% Canadian, so
Yeah,
you're
exactly. I'm a 4-hour drive from the border,
yeah,
so
you're a part of the podcast.
perfect.
Anybody 4 hours north of south of the border, yeah, you're good with us. Yeah.
Love
Anybody
it.
more south? I don't know, but you know,
Yeah, fuck them.
yeah, come on, more than half the country, like the entire country.
Yeah, right.
All right, boys, make sure you subscribe, all that good stuff, and have a good day. We'll see you in the next one.
Later
All
on.
right, gentlemen.
Try
Peace.
this.